Now on Sky News Live, Peter Credlin.
One way or the other, tomorrow's Coalition Party Room meeting will be a turning point. Either the Liberal and National parties will pull back from the emissions obsession that's made our power prices amongst the highest in the world, or they'll back the so-called National Energy Guarantee that's been designed to appease the Labor states and give up the only real electoral weapon they have. I hope that MPs and senators will remember that this government was first elected promising to end Labor's emissions obsession by scrapping the carbon tax. And if true to their original mandate and coalition supporters that put them there, then they'll send the minister and his Labor-light policy back to the drawing board. There is a real chance that this might happen, particularly as coalition supporters out in the community are starting to speak up. If this wasn't the case, there was no way the Prime Minister would have floated at the 11th hour underwriting new coal-fired power stations to keep alive energy-intensive industries like steel and aluminium. A party room should always be wary of late-in-the-day conversions of convenience. This is the same Prime Minister who said that religious freedom was even more important than same-sex marriage. Well, same-sex marriage is done and dusted, yet there's no sign of any legislation to protect religious freedoms, none, despite a long-awaited report that's been on his desk for months. This is also the same Prime Minister who spent more than a year spruiking a $12 billion direct government investment in the Snowy 2.0 pumped hydro scheme, but who quickly dropped any plan to keep the Liddell power station open. Wake up, Australia. Malcolm Turnbull is not serious about coal. This is a fob-off designed to last as long as it takes to get his emissions reduction policy through the party room, and backbenchers, you'd be fools to fall for it. Let's be very clear what's at stake here. This isn't just a turning point for the Liberal and National parties, it's a turning point for our country too. It was easy enough to support green schemes like renewable energy targets when they were all sold as political upside with no economic downside. But now we understand how unreliable wind and solar power is driving reliable coal and gas out of business. Well, we would be mad to support a policy that boosts unreliable renewable power from 17% to 36% of the total energy mix. It was fair enough to support an emissions reduction target when the expert advice was that this wouldn't require new policy and wouldn't impose additional economic costs, and when the whole world was supposed to be signing up to the Paris targets. Now that we've seen power prices go through the roof and blackouts and rationing become routine, and now that China, America and India, with 50% of the world's emissions between them, have no Paris targets, we would be mad, again mad, to stick to Paris. I can't for the life of me understand the politicians' arguments that just because we signed up to something that's turned out to be such a dud, that we must stick with it, when the rest of the world is either downgrading their commitments, walking away from them, or not even coming close to meeting them. Why are we being played for mugs here and throwing away our one out-and-out competitive advantage, that of cheap and reliable power, for what? With responsibility for only 1.3% of global emissions, even the chief scientist admits that our difference and our efforts will make virtually nothing to global temperatures. Common sense arguments aside, the real unexploded bomb here is the legislation. Commentators are now only starting to realise that by putting a national energy guarantee into legislation, Malcolm Turnbull will be turning voluntary, non-binding Paris targets into domestic law and making them absolutely compulsory, which is why the coalition would be mad, again, mad, to legislate them. I know that the party room won't want to cross the Prime Minister on this, but every MP has a duty to the party and to the country, as well as their own conscience here. If the party room meekly rubber stamps the so-called National Energy Guarantee tomorrow, the government will have surrendered its last big chance to create a winnable contest with Labor and will instead lock in higher power prices, more industries that will close down, more jobs going offshore, and an inherent market instability. For what? For a policy that only marginally is less bad than a very, very bad Labor policy? As I look at the party room I used to know so well, I ask myself yet again, where are the real Liberals?